Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Understand this, right? First of all, how you guys doing? As far as me, I'm great. I was very busy today out fishing with my sons. I caught 3 damn fish that broke my damn pole. Crazy. Anyway, we had a great day. But now my boys are sleeping, so I have time to do videos. Look, man, this whole shit about who would have beat Floyd Mayweather? You know, Canelo right now, because he's in his prime, he should have never lost to Floyd. Crawford, at any point in Crawford's career, he just has the style to beat Floyd Mayweather. Manny Pacquiao is back. So the way Pacquiao's looking, if Floyd came back right now, Pacquiao would beat Floyd. Listen, I personally think Floyd is more credible a fighter than everybody, but in particular, Terrence Crawford and Canelo. Now, I want to make sure y'all hear me clearly. Canelo Alvarez is a brilliant fighter. Terrence Crawford is a brilliant special fighter. Because sometimes people don't hear all that. They just hear me, ranting and raving and sometimes making jokes and shit just to stir the pot. But don't for a second think, with any fighter that I'm talking about, or when I talk about and do videos, all of those guys and girls are exceptional. The shit that they do in that boxing ring, the average person, they can't even go into a fucking boxing gym, much less be comfortable hitting mitts, much less trying to hit a heavy bag, trying to learn the speed bag. They're watching everyone and they're embarrassed. Now you're talking about sparring and getting punched in your face. Okay, so to see these boxers doing this shit at the highest level, they all deserve respect. But we just got to be real here when we're talking about resumes and elite and stuff like that. Look, man, Floyd beat unbeaten champions, prime killers, and Hall of Famers. Okay, that's what Floyd did. And that's why when you talk about, who's more credible, you just got to look at Floyd and say, you know what? Maybe he is more credible than these two guys. Because before Canelo and Bud, there was Floyd. Now, he clipped Canelo. So for those people they don't like that. It's the truth. 23, undefeated. Most people thought he was going to get in there and do something to Floyd Mayweather. They thought Floyd didn't have a chance. They tried to even rob Floyd on the scorecards. But you saw what happened. Old Manny Pacquiao. They could say Manny Pacquiao wasn't in his prime and all that. Listen, the dust has settled now. What we learned with old Manny Pacquiao, an amazing fighter, right? But maybe there was something going on with old Manny Pacquiao, because you notice all those knockouts he was getting, it stopped, didn't it? You saw how he tranquilized Miguel Cotto. Saw how he dropped Shane Moses. Saw how he tranquilized Ricky Hatton. What happened to that? But all I'm saying is Floyd Mayweather beat him. Was it an easy fight? I mean, Floyd said it wasn't easy. I mean, he'll come now and say that was easy work. Pacquiao was easy work. But Floyd had the ability, and I always say this in videos, to up it on anyone he fought, no matter how talented or special they were. He was just more special, more talented. Of course, he got into a De La Hoya. He beat him. Some people have an opinion, say De La Hoya beat him. His jab alone broke Floyd down, and Floyd wasn't able to execute his offense the way he wanted to. Look, but the bottom line is he got the victory. I thought he beat him. You know what I'm saying? But we know De La Hoya has a tendency back then, they know to throw a flurry of punches and try to steal rounds. But I thought Floyd beat him pretty decisively. And it was a close fight, but I thought Floyd deserved the victory. Then, he came back after a year off. People saw Juan Manuel Marquez put the bing-bings on Pacquiao and give Pacquiao tough fights. And everybody figured, hey, Floyd fighting Juan Manuel Marquez is going to be a good measuring stick on how Floyd can perform against Pacquiao. Seeing that Pacquiao and Marquez always made for a great fight. And Floyd did to Marquez what he did. He humiliated him. Okay? So that being said, we start digging a little deeper without really expounding Diego Corrales. I said it in the YouTube short, and I mean it. I think Diego Corrales and Terrence Crawford are not the same fighter. But I just think the fight would have gone the same if Floyd fought Bud. Then Ricky Hatton. Look, Ricky Hatton is like Nick Ball, kind of small, ferocious, explosive. But you saw what happened when he got in there with Floyd. There's just levels to this shit, and Floyd was just on another level. And Ricky Hatton was a monster. Then you go and look at Shane Mosley. Shane Mosley showed us that he has special hands. That's the closest you've seen to Floyd Mayweather really, almost getting, destabilized and tranquilized. But Floyd did what he does. He figured it out. And there's no one who can adjust, especially mid-fight like Floyd Mayweather, or even early in the fight. No one. And that's why Floyd is what he is. Then you talk about the Zab Judah fight, the Gottis, and we can go on and on. You're talking about 26 world champions that he defeated. You know what I'm saying? That's unheard of. The man had 50 pro fights, defeated 26 world champions. That is crazy. But he didn't just beat champions, you know what I'm saying? He beat guys who were seen as very dangerous at the time. Everyone on Floyd Mayweather's resume, all them guys could scrap. All of them could. You saw what they were doing to other opponents. But Floyd is just, some people are just born to fight. And Floyd is one of those guys. And I truly believe Floyd, no matter what era he was in, Floyd would have held his own. Probably would have won. Now, when you look at Sugar Ray Leonard and the Marvin Haglers, we're going to have an opinion, but we're talking about Canelo and Bud. And when you just look at what I just mentioned, I don't see how anyone could look at what Canelo's done and Crawford's done and come out here and try to compare. 50 fights, beat 26 world champions. And he had an untouchable style, and his adaptability is second to none. What has Crawford or Canelo done to convince you that their style has been untouchable? Canelo gets touched up, Crawford gets touched up. Mayweather very seldomly did anyone lay a hand on him. And remember, this man was fighting world champion after world champion after world champion. But people don't want to give him his credit for that. That matters. Never truly hurt, never outboxed in 20 plus years. You know what I'm saying? When I say hurt, I'm talking about falling all over the ring. You know what I'm saying? Mandatory standing 8. I can tell you, Mosley zapped him. Maidana zapped him at the end of the round. Chop Corley, zapped him. Zab Judah zapped him. Ricky Hatton kind of caught him a little off balance. He was going back, but Floyd's so athletic, he managed to stay on his feet. Shambe Mitchell had a couple of interesting spots. Yeah, I really don't I'm trying to think, am I forgetting anyone? I know he had a tough fight with Emmanuel Augustus. You know what I'm saying? Miguel Cotto bloodied his nose, and Maidana he hurt him in that second fight. The second fight, Floyd, another 20 seconds, Floyd may have got knocked out. But no one's been able to really hurt him to the point to where the referee has to jump in and save him. And he's never really been outboxed in 20 plus years. Master of defense, master of timing, master of ring IQ, and he's never had to rely on his power alone. For people saying Floyd doesn't have power, those are fans. You don't hear any fighter say Floyd didn't have power. The guys he fought says, oh yes, Floyd has power, and Floyd will hurt you and knock you out. And there's a reason why when he first turned pro, he was doing what he was doing. I'm not just talking about the tomato cans they feed you. I'm just talking about what he was doing. You look at them fights, them Corrales and Gottis and them Angel Man Freddy's, man, and them damn Chop Corleys and them Shambe Mitchells and all them other fights in between. That was a whole nother level. When have you been entertained like that by Crawford or Canelo, against champions. So, again, Floyd's never had to rely just on his power. He had so many tools in the toolbox against such great fighters that he made them all look less than average. And again, when you get into the middle of the fight with Floyd, he's always been able to up it or make adjustments. That's just something that's something that just kind of, feeds into what many would say his I'd say untouchable style and his adaptability. And that matters. I just sit here and you watch Floyd now, out here breezing. I can understand people maybe not liking the Money Mayweather persona and how brash he was and, kind of how offensive he could be. And I get it. But it's just like he created a persona which is very smart to help grow his brand and platform, and he was very successful at it. But I don't understand why people will sit there and see these WWF, WWE, athletes outside of, the ring and see them in their normal day-to-day life and, treat them with so much respect and understand, hey, we understand you guys are performing, it's an act. But when Floyd Mayweather did what he had to do, you guys are holding on to that like that's the real individual. I just think that's a little unfair. But I can understand. You know what I'm saying? I can understand. 1 titles in 5 weight classes. Crawford could be on his way to 5 himself. You know what I'm saying? And Crawford and Canelo, look, they're great. They really are. But the thing about Floyd being untouchable and having the adaptability is Crawford and Canelo has shown that they can be vulnerable in big fights. For example, Crawford versus Kavaliauskas. Let me tell you something. No matter what you say, and Crawford says, his ass got hurt and he got dropped. Okay? And then, of course, I don't need to really expound on this, but we saw Canelo in there with Bivol and just get dog walked. You know what I'm saying? You ain't never seen nobody do that shit to Floyd. So, I mean, what do we want to talk about here? We can keep peeling the layers back. And you look at what he was able to do. Control the game. Now, Canelo's kind of come along and figured some things out, but Floyd set the blueprint for a lot of these fighters. Controlling the game, man. Became his own boss, Mayweather Promotions. And was very successful at what he did. Fought who he wanted, when he wanted, made record-breaking money doing it. And this is the thing that Floyd earned that spot to do what he did, especially like the last 5 fights, or he had to fight 2 fights a year or something. I think that contract he had with Showtime. Floyd put in the work, man. It's like when I was in the military. I've talked about it on this page before. We had something called rank has its privileges. When you get to, like me, I got to a certain point, right? I couldn't go any higher. You know what I mean? I went as high as you can go. I had my own parking spot. I had my own car. All that shit. And there are people who will watch me and be like, yo, man, this guy, man, hating on me and shit. But those are people who didn't put the fucking work in that I put in. So you know what? I was able to do what the hell I wanted. And nobody questioned me as long as I got the job done. But they understood. There were quite a few of us who did what we were supposed to. But those who weren't doing what they were supposed to, they were watching us and hating on us. And that's the same thing with Floyd. Floyd did what he was supposed to do to get himself in position where he can be his own boss and do what he wants as far as who he wants to fight and when he wants to fight him. And he made gazillions of dollars. You watch Canelo. Canelo's doing the same thing. He just followed the Floyd Mayweather blueprint. You know what I'm saying? But Floyd did it first. However, he never lost while doing it. And that matters when you look at Canelo and you look at Terence Crawford. Now, public perception, public pressure. Listen, Floyd fought under immense scrutiny. Just about his whole career, but especially the Money Mayweather era. I mean, every fight, fans bought tickets hoping to see him lose. I mean, you look at Crawford and Canelo, ain't nobody buying tickets to see them lose. Some people say for Crawford, people don't buy tickets at all, which isn't true. But ain't nobody, I mean, times are different, but nobody buying tickets like they're buying for Floyd. And with Crawford, Canelo gets all the support in the world, but no one's really want to see him lose. You know what I'm saying? So that just speaks volumes about the level that you've reached and how you perform to where people are like, this punk is so good, we just want to see him lose. Nobody say that shit about Canelo and Crawford. Nobody's saying we just want to see Crawford lose, he's that good. We just want to see Canelo lose, he's that good. Nobody says that at all. So anyway, I just think when you look at Floyd, with the pressure he was under, how he was able to turn that into dominance each and every time. Ultimate dominance. And for those who disagree, look, there's no need for cross-examination. Look, case closed. That's what Floyd Mayweather did. But some people still aren't going to give him his credit, you know what I'm saying? Now, when you add to that, look, Floyd never lost. He never ducked anyone in his weight class, despite, these myths that he was afraid to fight certain people. And he was consistent for 20 plus years with no fall off in skill, speed, or defense. When Floyd retired from boxing after fighting, he fought Berto, then he fought Conor McGregor. Floyd could have kept fighting. No, I don't even think that the Earl Spence and Terrence Crawford, with that old Floyd, could have beat him. They just don't have his IQ. They just didn't have his reflexes. They just didn't have it. And no matter what in the ring, I don't think any of them could have outthought Floyd Mayweather. No one. But hey, that's my opinion. Now remember, you guys may feel different about it. But, with me, that's just how I see it. So the final word, in my opinion, is, look, man, Floyd is more credible because he fought everyone. He won every time and controlled boxing like a CEO with absolutely zero blemishes. And Canelo and Crawford haven't done that. Now, of course, they're still working towards that, but they could never achieve what Floyd achieved. Never. They can't do it. It's impossible. With everything I just covered with Floyd Mayweather, it's impossible for them to do it. They'd have to start all over. But Crawford and Canelo are legends in progress. Okay, so I just want to make that clear. But when it comes to Floyd, he's already etched in stone. And remember, first there was Floyd, then there was Canelo and Bud. And I just think people need to just understand that, man. But they don't. They're going to feel how they feel. Floyd Mayweather, 50-0, 27 KOs. 5 weight classes, 130 pounds to 154. 15 major world titles. I mean, that's a pretty big deal. He defeated 26 champions out of 50 fights. We talked about the people he fought, the Pacquiaos, the De La Hoyas, the Marquez, the Mosleys, the Corrales, everything. Fighting style, man, look, there's nobody who has the fighting style of a damn Floyd Mayweather. Defensive genius, elite IQ, unmatched timing, perfect footwork. Everything that you want in a fighter, you had in Floyd. Everything that you want in a fighter. His dad and Roger Mayweather did a damn good job. And Floyd was an excellent student. But again, just my opinion. Then you got to think about him, with his business control, man. Built Mayweather Promotions, set his own fights, maximize earnings. Something that you see every fighter trying to do right now. Everyone's trying to maximize earnings. Promoters definitely trying to maximize earnings. So much so they have their fighters in holding patterns like Jerome Boutsinnis right now and Eddie Hearn. That shit Jerome Boutsinnis is going through because Eddie Hearn is trying to maximize earnings with the least amount of risk. Mayweather fought. Every fight was a big risk. He was able to fight big risk against champions, maximize his earnings, and make it look simple. But that's not quite how a lot of these other fighters are doing things right now. Now, when you talk about Terrence Crawford, what is he like? 40 wins, 31 knockouts, 4 weight divisions, 135, 140, 147. Then 154 picked up the title. It wasn't there at 154 very long, going up to 168 to try to fight Canelo, become a 3-time undisputed, and his 4th, 5th, to become a champion in the 5th weight class. So let me just tell you, that's outstanding for Terrence Crawford. But he was asked this, and he was talking about it. His signature wins. He said Victor Postal and Ricky Burns. He didn't talk about Earl Spence. He didn't talk about Sean Porter. He didn't talk about Jeff. He mentioned Jeff Horn. Really didn't say much about Ndongo. But when you look at what Mayweather done and what Crawford's done, although Crawford's still, a legend in progress, you can just stop right there. You know what I'm saying? You can stop right there. There's no comparison. Now, the thing about Crawford, he's a switch hitter, KO power. He has high IQ. And he has great killer instincts. Crawford is amazing. And that's why, for those people thinking that Canelo's going to walk through him, I think you guys are going to get you're going to be very dismayed by the end of that. Probably at midway through the fight, when you see how the fight's going, you're going to see like, holy shit. Crawford really brings a lot more to the table than what we thought. But what I will tell you is about Crawford. You got to understand, I know a lot of people think this is just a retirement fight for him, taking on Canelo. And recently you gotta admit, I think with the Earl Spence fight, that's where you're seeing Crawford become more independent after leaving Top Rank, and he's trying to build control of his career, kind of like what Floyd did and what Canelo's already doing. You can see Crawford's doing that, but if Crawford goes in there and fights Canelo and he doesn't put up the effort that we know that he's known for, then maybe he just took the fight for the money, and then definitely for sure, as far as him trying to take control of his career and maybe go and start picking opponents if he beats Canelo, or even if he loses, then it's just going to say a lot about Terrence Crawford. But I don't think Crawford's going to want that kind of legacy. To have battled with the naysayers all these years just to come at the end of his career and prove him right by putting forth a half-hearted effort just to get that, 50, 75, 100 million, whatever he's making to face Canelo? I don't think he'll do that. But one of the weaknesses about Terrence Crawford is just the resume. Compared to Floyd, Crawford just has fewer elite names in their prime on his resume. Some say it's his fault, some say it's not his fault. Look, I ain't here to argue that. We're just talking about the facts. And the facts are he has much fewer elite fighters on his resume than Floyd. And you know what? Most people's resumes are going to be that way. Then you got Canelo, 61 wins, I think two losses, Mayweather and Bivol, 2 draws, 39 knockouts. Kind of, just cruise up through, I think, 4 weight classes, 4 or 5 4-weight classes, 11 titles across 4 divisions, 168 pounds. Signature wins, okay? Since we want to talk about who Floyd fought, a Floyd cherry pick, 26 champions, right? Out of Floyd's 50 wins. When we're talking about signature wins for Canelo, Golovkin fought him 3 times. The first and second Golovkin fights, I thought Canelo lost both. The first one, I think we all agree he lost that shit. The second one, some people are on the fence because they feel like Canelo stepped to him. Canelo lost the first 2. It's my opinion. Third fight, shit didn't count. Triple G was just getting that last piece of money to go his ass back to Kazakhstan and chill and eat bread and drink beer. Okay? The Miguel Cotto fight, Miguel was over the hump. All right? Miguel Cotto was just cashing out, getting his money. But Canelo looked fantastic against Miguel Cotto. But that wasn't a Miguel Cotto in his prime. Kovalev, I still got to wonder how Kovalev loses, how he lost to Canelo. The way he got knocked out, something didn't seem right. The guy like him who hits the way he hits, to go in there and Canelo moving up, fighting, all of a sudden Canelo puts the bing-bings on Kovalev, and this shit just didn't make sense. But it could be because he was on the goddamn Eddie Reynoso cocktail. But hey, we don't know that. He fought Billy Joe Saunders. Billy Joe Saunders gets scrapped. Billy Joe Saunders was a good fighter, but Canelo just caught him with a wicked shot, broke the man's face. Caleb Plant's another amazing fighter, but he's a one-handed fighter. And he just saw that Caleb Plant's condition and didn't hold out. But it has a lot to do with the pressure from Canelo. But you know what I think about Caleb Plant? I think he's a clean fighter. I think Caleb Plant shows fatigue in the ring, not because he doesn't train hard, but because he's a clean fighter. And he gets second and third wins, which seems to be expected. And when you see these other fighters who they don't get a second or third win, they just go off of that first round, first, second, to first round to the last, second, last round, just going nonstop. Makes you wonder how they're able to do that shit. You know what I'm saying? But even Canelo, no matter how great we know he is, and for those of you who think that he's the best thing ever, look, he lost to Mayweather, he lost to Bivol, pretty clearly against Mayweather and decisively against Bivol. Okay, so the man has the losses. Don't come out here trying to make excuses for the losses. Oh, he was chasing greatness against Bivol. How he was inexperienced against Floyd. Stop. All right, he got his ass whipped. It is what it is. Okay? So there's no comparison between him and Floyd. But one thing I'll say is Canelo. Talking about fighting styles, he's one of the most impressive counterpunchers out there. Brilliant body attack, outstanding head movement, and his timing is on point. But I'm not as convinced about Canelo's counterpunching, body attack, head movement, and timing. I'm not as convinced that that's going to show up against Crawford or subsequent fights that he's going to have the way it showed up right after Mayweather. There was things that Canelo was doing that blew my mind. Austin Trout, El Perro. I talk about James Kirkland fight a lot. The Miguel Cotto fight, the Shane Mosley fight. The shit that he was doing that just totally blew my mind. He doesn't do that anymore. But as far as his weaknesses, look, man, he struggles against slick boxers. Terrence Crawford is a slick boxer. Mayweather was a slick boxer. Lara was a slick boxer. Bivol was a slick boxer. Okay, he struggles against slick boxers. So with him and Crawford, just again, you gotta stop and take a look at it and say to yourself, what's really gonna happen when Canelo gets in that ring with Terrence Crawford? Could he have like a Floyd Mayweather flashback? Because, Floyd's the one who showed us all how to beat Canelo. Then Bivol came out and showed us how to beat him. Lara showed us how to beat him. I just think he should have thrown about 15 punches more around. And now Terrence Crawford, it has the opportunity to show us that, hey, Floyd came before me. And I'm just trying to get as close as possible to being as great as Floyd. I'm my own man. But if I can just kind of present the 75% solution when I get in there with Canelo and take a whole lot from what Floyd did, a whole lot from what Bivol did, I can get a victory. Okay? It's things that Floyd did and Bivol did that are pretty consistent. If Crawford can do that too, Canelo's going to have a tough time. So again, why is Floyd more credible? Let me see if I can show you this. I don't know if I can. So right here, why is Floyd more credible? You got to look at the categories. Undefeated, beat more champions, fought prime opponents, legacy fights. Make this a little bit bigger. Defensive mastery, global controls. As far as being undefeated, Floyd 50-0, Crawford 40-0, Canelo, he's already lost twice. category. Beat more champions. Floyd 26, Crawford I think under 10, Canelo beat 18. Fought prime opponents. Floyd, yes. Crawford, mostly. Canelo, not always. Legacy fights. Floyd, many. Crawford, a few. Canelo, several. Defensive mastery. Floyd, elite. Crawford, high level. Canelo, mid-level. Global control. Floyd, he set the blueprint. Crawford's building now. Canelo is his own boss now. So the bottom line is, Mayweather combined resume, skill, his combined resume, skill, discipline, and control better than anyone. Crawford and Canelo are legendary, but Floyd mastered every level of the game without losing or without ducking, and that matters. And that's why he remains the standard of credibility, and people need to give him his respect. And I think he deserves that, and he deserves his flowers. But you know what? Most people aren't going to do it, so it is what it is. Anyway, check this out. Where is it? Right here. Apologize for the interruption, but hey, if you enjoy the channel, you enjoy the content, why don't you go take time and head over to my homepage, click on the link store so you can purchase some of the latest Hood Champion boxing merch. Got hats, shirts, sweatshirts, coffee mugs, stuff for the kids. Got different designs. So again, I'd appreciate it if you took some time to head over to the store. Again, just click on the store tab on my homepage and go out there and find something you like. Got something for everybody. And again, hold your horses. Let's not take it to the stupid. And y'all keep cool. I'm in the breeze. That being said, appreciate y'all hanging around for this 31 minutes. Crawford and Canelo are the truth. But before them, there was Floyd. And you watch these guys and the things they're doing with their careers inside the ring, things they're doing outside the ring. They're basically trying to emulate a whole lot of what Floyd already did. Stop trying to compare them to Floyd. Floyd is more credible as a fighter than everybody. Y'all keep cool. I'm in the breeze.